Hello everybody, I'm Preeti. I'm the registered migration agent from Aussizz Group. WA state nomination has finally sent the invitation rounds just this afternoon, or about 4:30 this evening rather. And in this tough time, I'm really happy to see these invitations. So this definitely indicates that WA state nomination, irrespective of this COVID-19, is processing as usual, because the applications also, we have received the outcome of the applications which were under processing, and this afternoon we have received the invitations also. So that is a bit of a relief, that is a bit of a hope for all our applicants, for all the people who are waiting either for the processing of their visa nomination application with the state, or were waiting for their invitations to come through. Again, this round, they have given a big round again, and we have received somewhere around more than 60 to 70 invitations in the varied occupations. I'll start with different occupations and the minimum points, and we will also update everything on our Facebook so that you could know at which occupation has been invited for what, with number of minimum points. Okay, I'll start first with the most in-demand occupation, which everyone waits for, is basically an accountant. Accountant has minimum been invited at 70 points, or the taxation accountants also. We haven't received any management accountant invitation in this round, so looks like WA state nomination is more giving the invitations for either for an accountant general or for the taxation accountants. These EOIs has been lodged at least 1 month ago. There has been none invitation for the applicants who have recently lodged their EOIs in the month of March. So the accountants, there's a bit of a wait. It is not this that you have just lodged your EOI and you have received it at the minimum point. So if you are an accountant or a taxation accountant, or you have got a management accountant outcome, but you want to, then I would definitely advise that you should go with the taxation accountant EOI, and the additional skills assessment first, get that one done so that you have got more chances of receiving the invitation. We are not saying that that they will not invite, or is there any other thing, but we have not received any invitation in this round as of yet today. Then I'll come with engineers, then all the varied about of the engineers, like the telecommunication engineers or the chemical engineers or mechanical engineers, they all have been invited at the minimum points at the 65 also. Few of the occupations, the EOIs that we lodged, which were at 65 or 70 or 75, irrespective of the points. At the minimum points, we have received the invitations for the 190 visa application. So this is a good thing for an engineers, that even if they have got the minimum points, they should not be worried about whether they would get an invitation or not, because it is on the grounds of the minimum points also is receiving the 190 invitations. The chemical engineers or mechanical or telecommunication engineers, their EOIs were also until the 29th of the February, the last EOIs that were lodged. Guys, I would like to reiterate that this date which I'm talking about is on the database of Aussizz Group, and in fact the last EOI that even I lodged for an engineer was for those grounds only. So I'm not indicating that the recent lodged EOIs have not been invited for the engineers. However, my clientele database is the ones which were lodged in this February. After that, we have got the IT occupations. IT occupations has already been invited, and the minimum points for which my clients have been invited are 70, and they are the very recent EOIs also, which were lodged in the month of March. About 9th of March, the EOIs were lodged, and the minimum points for which we have received is 70. I have not received any invitation at the points of 65 for an IT occupation. So, but in fact, I did not have the client also sitting at the 65 points for an IT. So I'm not too sure whether there has been any invitation at the minimum points or not, but because this is on the basis of the data of the Aussizz group. So if you, so it is for but the good news for the IT people are that even it's a very latest or a new EOI that they have done recently, they have still been invited for this one. After these things, then we have got a few invitations for the pharmacy technician for the 190 visas. Again, these pharmacy technician at the 65 points minimum, they have been invited on the very recent EOI, which was launched on the 12th of March. So if you have got an occupation which is on the WASOL list, which is the Western Australia Skills Occupation list, and you are eligible for the graduate stream, then points is not the thing which you should be worrying about, because even at the minimum points, the unpopular occupations have been invited. So yeah. Another EOI that we have got it for, that is for the restaurant manager for 190 at 65 points. So this is very good. This is the first time that I have received any invitation for a restaurant manager at the minimum points for a 190. Until last round, the restaurant managers were being invited at 65, 70 points. We did not receive any at the 65, and this EOI was lodged in 12th or 13th of March. So it is again a recent EOI, a new EOI at 65 points. The trick in the restaurant manager, not even the trick, basically the main purpose of the restaurant manager is about your skills assessment and 7 in English. So we have got lots of people who have done the diploma of hospitality but are wondering what they could do is, then this could be one of their options where they can go towards the restaurant manager assessment, and they just need to meet the minimum points, because we have seen now they have started inviting the restaurant managers at the 65 points also. Again, guys, if I'm talking about the 65 points or 70 points or whatever points I'm saying, this includes the 5 points of the state nomination also. So this is not in addition to the state nomination points. So if I'm saying 65, then my client has got a 60 points and 5 points is the state nomination. If I'm saying 70, then the applicant has got the 65 and the 5 points are given by the state. Hope I'm clear with that. Now coming next to is the trade occupations. In the trade occupations, we have again received lots of invitations at the minimum points, and the trade occupations has been mixed for the 190 as well as 491 visas. The trend that we have seen for the WA state nomination regarding the trade occupations is that if you lodge an expression of interest, then initially they are inviting you firstly for a 491, and then in the second or the third round after that they are inviting you for the 190 invitation. But this trend we are only looking forward towards the trade. This we have not seen towards the professional invitation, professional occupations. So if you have got a trade one, you may need to wait for 1 or 2 months for receiving an invitation. We have received invitation for the chef at 190 at 65 points with the minimum points, but there has been a wait on this one. The EOI for the January has been invited in the March. We have not received the ones which is the EOI lodgement for February for a 190. The February lodgement EOIs has received the invitations for the 490 ones. Then after these, the chef for the 190, again the 491s, the latest EOIs with the March also has been invited within this round itself, and we are hoping that these can be re-invited for 190, probably maybe in the next round or the round after, but this all depends upon if they will still continue doing this invitation rounds, which looks like they will do it, because when we are talking to the state government, when we are talking to the state nomination people, they are saying that their processing remains as usual. It is the recent break of the COVID-19 is not going to affect the processing or the invitation round, although there has been a delay of 3 or 4 days of receiving an invitation, but they said it was just because they were waiting for some approvals from the state government. More invitations we have received for this trade occupation, which is either the civil engineering draft persons or the electrical engineering draft persons for 190 visas. And for 190, they have been invited at the 75 points, where the EOIs has been lodged in the month of January. If the EOI has been lodged for February, we have received the invitations for at 65 points minimum for the 491 visas. So again, if we have got the invitation, if you have got a trade occupation, again we are saying it again, expect the first invites mainly for the 491s, probably if you don't have very high points, or you could wait for a couple of months, 1 or 2 rounds, when the 190 will get invited, especially in the trade occupations with the lesser points. Okay, so now once we have received these state nominations, the next process of this one is within the 28 days of receiving this nomination, you have to apply for accept the state nomination. Now, in these criteria, there could be 2 instances that either you accept that invitation or you not. If you do not accept that invitation, you will receive an email from the state government that your EOI has been lapsed, and in case you wanted to be invited for a new invitation, you have to lodge the new EOI. The second scenario is where you accept that state invitation within 28 days. We generally say do not leave it up to the last date, because there is a link when you save an application. This goes back to the department, and they have to send it back to you, and then only you can further proceed with an application, while if you do not go in the one go. By doing that, sometimes you do not receive that link back again the same day, and on 29th day, department will not accept you for any excuse, and your EOI invitation would get lapsed. So please do not leave it until the last minute of accepting these invitations, and make sure by 25th day you do receive your invitations. Once you accept the invitation, the fee for the state government is $200. There's a test that you have to give, and that test is about your knowledge around the surroundings of the Western Australia, and the housing market, and the product prices, and the regions of Western Australia. You need to choose a region for which you wanted to give a test, and you need to complete that test with minimum 60%. Once you complete that test and you make the payment, then there's a requirement of providing the documentation, and this documentation includes that you have to give the job offer letter, or you have to show the 6 months of an employment that you have worked in Australia for 6 months. Now there's a difference between these 2 things. The job offer that you need to provide, that has to be only from Western Australia, and the employer must be from Western Australia itself. However, if you have lodged your expression of interest on the grounds of the 6 months of an experience, the experience can be anywhere in Australia. That does not probably needs to be just from the Western Australia itself. Once you accept these invitations and you provide the documentation accordingly, either the job offer letter for 6 months full time from 1 or 2 employers, or 6 months of a work, which can be 20 hours per week, then you have to send your documents to the state government. Once the documents have been provided, then the case officer will assess those ones. If he or she needs any additional documents, they would ask you for, and after that they provide you the decision of the state application. State government have been very particular in looking into whether you meet that criteria or not. Your 6 months employment has to be very into your nominated occupation only. Lots of my friends, they say, or my clients, they say, oh, we have done the job ready program for the chef, and to the job ready program has already assessed us for the 1 year of an experience. Do we still need to provide the documents? And the answer is yes, you still need to provide all the documents, because for the job ready program, you have not given your superannuation statement, you haven't given your bank statements, you have not provided your notice of assessment or the income tax returns. What you have just given them is the pay slips. However, with the state government will not accept the 6 months of employment just with the pay slips. They need all sort of employments, which is further advised by the state Department of Home Affairs also, because you are claiming points for those employments as it's a job ready program, and based on this one you have done your skills assessment. So it goes back and back. So based on these ones, if you do not have the full documentation for this, you should not be claiming points for your employments in these scenarios. Once you provide the documents, they would assess and they would ask for additional documents, and if all good, then you get the approval. Once application is approved, department will give you 60 days. You will receive another invitation link from the Department of Home Affairs, which has got another 60 days to lodge your visa application. If you are currently holding a substantive visa or holding a bridging visa A, B or a C, you are eligible to apply for the 190 visa. However, if you are Section 48 power, you have got any refusal onshore, you will not be allowed to lodge the visa onshore, and you have to go offshore and apply for this one. During this travel ban and in these scenarios, it is really tricky that how a person can travel and can go offshore and lodge and come back and all, but we will assess these situations on case-by-case basis. If you have got such kind of a situation, please come and see us, and we will see what could be done in this scenario, because department has not provided any flexible approach where an applicant has received the the visa invitation link to apply, and they have got 60 days to lodge, but they cannot travel offshore for the lodgement of the visa application. In these scenarios, there are different roads that can be taken and can be discussed on case-by-case basis. Now I'm signing off from today regarding the state nomination. I hope everyone who was waiting for the state nomination applications have received their invitations, and in this tough time there is a little smile on everybody, which is for us also today. And in case you want any more information about where you have received your invitation but you're not sure how to proceed further, please come and see us. We are more than happy to give you all advice. And please note, our consultations for the next 2 weeks are free. We are not charging anything for the consultation, but we are available over through the mobile or the telephone, which and our numbers is still the same, which are office numbers for all the states. Please look at our website or on the Facebook pages and come and contact us, and we would like to help you out in any circumstances where you would like to move forward. Thank you so much for listening. Have a lovely evening.